Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am the stepson of Krypton.
And I'm Mantis.
Ooh, dark and ominous.
Mm.
And today we wanted to do a little bit different of a video of what we've been doing here of late. We've been doing a lot of discussion videos based off of either movie trailers or information that has come down through different various news sources about the Marvel and the DC worlds. We wanted to take it in a little bit different of a route for you fans here, and we wanted to go over the most powerful items shown thus far in the MCU. So, Mantis, if you are ready, we're going to go ahead and get on into the list.
I am ready. Let's go.
Hey there, you me and DC fans. Doing a quick interruption here. I noticed when I was doing the editing that we forgot to mention the reason we weren't including Mjolnir in the top 10 list or even under the notable mentions. And that was because Mjolnir has had so much exposure throughout the course of the MCU and all the various Marvel projects that we felt like there was already so much, or at least enough information. Whereas most of the other things on this top 10 list, we've really only gotten to see brief glimpses of, or maybe gotten a bit more detail. I know, like with Stormbreaker, we've gotten probably the next most amount of information. But we wanted to really focus on those for, this being an informative video to kind of go over what we think is the most powerful and give some of the information about those items. So it's not that we don't think Mjolnir belongs on the list, we're just leaving it off because we're ignorant and we don't know anything. It was a strategic reason. However, it was not strategic in me forgetting to include that in the very beginning here, so I'm doing this little cut in just so you guys know that it was left off for a purpose. But Mjolnir, we still love you and we still think you're powerful. All right, guys, I'll let you get back to the video. All right, guys, we're going to break down some of the most powerful items, probably the top 10. Now, I say top 10. I'm going to go through the top 10 items that we have seen. There will be some notable mentions because I know people are going to have problems with this list. And I want you to, right? This is the video. I want some good discussion, right? You don't have to be dicks about it, but you can say if you disagree with the list, if there's an item you thought that I didn't mention that should have been. And if you have to be dicks about it, hey, again, free speech on this channel. But
If you're gonna
preference would
be
be
if
not.
you're gonna be a dick, be a big dick.
Exactly.
That's all we ask.
3 types of people in this
Veins.
world.
See, there's 3 kinds of people: dicks, pussies, and assholes.
Yeah, and one of those big veiny bastards. All right, you gotta do that. Like, go commit, right? All or nothing.
Yeah.
But
Don't
we're gonna
half-ass
go
it.
over this, and this is just things that have been shown in the MCU thus far. Most powerful artifacts. We will have some notable mentions, so don't freak out if you don't hear it in the initial 10. But definitely let us know. Do you think there's one we missed? Do you? We're not going to rank them in order, okay? Because that would be a whole other series of arguments. We're just going to go through the top 10, not put them in any discernible order. But definitely let us know if you agree with us or if there's something you think we missed. And because it's the most iconic thus far in the MCU, we're going to start off with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now, I'm going to say, hold on, can I do this one? Because I'm going to preface this. Like, literally, maybe I know one other thing on this list. Okay, I guess maybe 2.
He knows multiple. Maybe just one. Don't let him lie to
maybe
you.
Just one.
He's not
maybe
thinking
just one.
about him.
I always preface some of these videos because Cal knows way more about this type of stuff than I do. Like, I just don't know anything. I just don't know about it. He knows way more than I do. But the Infinity Gauntlet, obviously, we know because it was the main focus pretty much of the whole, I don't know, first and second, correct me if I'm wrong, the first and second phases. It does include the third phase? Okay. So all 3 phases of, the MCU. So, of course, as Cal is shown here in our little chart, I say you can't see the chart. Or maybe he's going to show it. I don't know. Maybe he'll show it. But I'm looking at this chart, and it is showing that the first comic book appearance was in Silver Surfer number 44, which was almost 35 years ago almost now. But from the first MCU appearance you noted was in the first Thor movie, which I didn't know that. I didn't I actually not even think about it. I couldn't think of the first time I actually seen it on screen. Um but so in this background that you've shown in here, it says we made a joke about this with me pronouncing these because it's going to be funny because we can't pronounce anything on this on this channel correctly. But the Itiri the dwarf, is this the same dwarf that was shown that created the new hammer for Thor, right? Is this the
Eitri,
same dwarf?
the dwarf.
Eitri.
Yes.
Okay, same dwarf. Okay, with the star and everything. Okay, created it, giving the user godlike power. And only a handful of beings possess power rivaling the Gauntlet with all of the Infinity Stones inserted therein. Living Tribunal, one above all, and Beyonders, those being some of those. So, I'm going to take my pat on the back victory lap of knowing some of this stuff on this one, and mainly because I've seen the movies. But I'm sure you have more to add to this than what
So-
the on is.
Infinity Gauntlet, Thor, 2011.
Okay.
And again, the Infinity Stones were there from the dawn of time. From the, they even say in Doctor Strange, from the Big Bang.
Mhm.
That's the dawn of our current universe. Obviously, we're in the, I think now 8th, but at the time 7th cosmos. So again, they've existed. The Celestials are the ones that dole them out, but Thanos is the first one to possess it in the comics, where he devised and he had come up with the idea of the gauntlet to hold all 6 Infinity Stones, which again basically gives you power to some of the on par with some of the most powerful characters in Marvel.
So it was more of a channeling agent of all of the stone's power, right? Like, again, you see what artifacts and or weapons that this Eltiri can create, obviously from the
Eitri.
weapon that Eitri that he creates for Thor, right? So it's not hard pressed that it's a conduit of power, right? So I'm assuming that's basically kind of what it is.
Yes, it allows. Again, you still have to be, and there's going to be some debate and some argument about obviously certain individuals, Tony Stark, being able to possess and wear a gauntlet holding all 6 Infinity Stones, but usually it is only the most powerful beings in the universe can actually wield an Infinity Stone and not die. Thanos, being in the comics of he has the blood of a deviant and an eternal, a mixed blood of it. We won't go on to all that. We've done several different videos on that, but that's why he was able to wield the gauntlet. Still injured him quite a bit. So, you feel comfortable doing the second one?
Can we skip around?
Yeah, you skip around to whatever you want, because again, these are
'Cause
not
I'm
in
gonna go-
order. These are not in order
Yeah.
of most to least, or least to most powerful.
Well, I just say make for easy the video, but I know you can probably figure. I'll just do one more, and this is Stormbreaker because it kind of coincides with the Infinity Gauntlet, because I was talking about Etiri, the dwarf, doing the other weapon that they did for Thor, which was Stormbreaker, right? And you said here it showed up in Thor issue number 339, which came out in 83. I was not even born yet. I think you may have been born.
I was born in
Yeah.
83.
Yeah. Well, you won or not even one.
I was not one
You know,
yet. I was born
yeah.
in 83.
Yeah. So, obviously appeared in MCU, in Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, which was the 80s themed one, kind of. I don't know. Like that movie. There's parts of it I love and parts of it that I'm just like, what in the hell is going on here? So, anyway, created by the dwarf. It says Stormbreaker is made from Uru. Unlike Mjolnir, it can summon the Bifrost. So, I don't know if that was that how it was originally created that way, or was that just something they wrote into it to kind of get around the whole thing of what happened with what's his face being
No.
kind of exiled
No,
almost.
so it is canon in the comics that Stormbreaker can actually summon the Bifrost. So now the what he's referencing, I made a list of these for us, and so he would on some of these I knew he didn't know as much about, so like I made a little list, right? That's what he's talking about when he references. A little cheat sheet there. But Stormbreaker Stormbreaker, yes, created by Eitri the dwarf on Nidavellir, made from Uru, just like Mjolnir, can summon the Bifrost. That was a thing. It's been canon in the comics. However, here's an interesting thing about Stormbreaker. So, we all know that in the original Thor, Odin places an enchantment on Mjolnir.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
That says whoever, should they be worthy, should possess the power of Thor. It allows them to pick up the hammer. We see Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or I'm sorry, Winter Soldier. I was thinking second, but I was thinking his movie. In Avengers Age of Ultron, we see him. He moves Mjolnir. Actually, it has been confirmed by the writers and directors, like he could pick up the hammer. He did not. He chose not to. We see it in Endgame. He picks up the hammer. But that's because of the enchantment. Now, what a lot of people had a problem with is when Thor calls Stormbreaker, just like Mjolnir, it comes to him. Thanos grabs it and uses it against him, is trying to kill him with it, right?
Right.
A lot of people were like, well, what can he pick up that? He's not supposed to be able to. And then you had a lot of other people push back and try to say, well, it's because you don't know what you're talking about. It had an enchantment on it. That's why nobody could lift Mjolnir. Stormbreaker in the comics had the same enchantment, right? For most of the comics, Stormbreaker could not be picked up by anybody who was not worthy, okay? Because Uru is a metal. It's arguably the strongest metal in the MC or in the Marvel universe. But Uru also, one of its biggest properties is its ability to hold enchantments. We see Mjolnir hold multiple enchantments. Stormbreaker had the same. Now, if you had a weapon that literally the strongest people in the universe couldn't lift because they're not worthy, why would you not enchant the next weapon with the same thing if you have the ability to, right? Stormbreaker in the comics did actually possess the enchantment that it could not be lifted by those who weren't worthy. So it wasn't just Mjolnir, all right? We gotta get over that. That is why so many people freaked out, and those people were right when they're like, now, to be fair, it was just constructed, so I'm sure the enchantment wasn't placed on it yet. But we also
that's what I was wondering. Like, who the fuck did that? Because,
we saw in Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor has just like Odin, has the ability to place enchantments on weapons, because he places that enchantment on Mjolnir that is protecting Jane, which makes her be able to. Jane's not just worthy. The hammer is following the enchantment when he says protect Jane, and you see it glow just like it did when Odin placed the enchantment about it not being able to be lifted by anybody who's not worthy, or it said if he be worthy would.
So maybe he just did it off screen.
Well, we don't know. Like, what I'm going to go with is that they're saying it wasn't added yet. However, it had been 5 years since he constructed Stormbreaker from the time of Infinity War, because 5 years passed to where he fights with an Endgame. Now, he was going through an existential crisis. He may not have even, thought about enchanting whatever, but through the comics, now it's not always, but most of the time, Stormbreaker does have the same. It can't be lifted by somebody who is not.
I'm just going by how I play video games. As soon as I craft a new weapon, I upgrade it and put all the shit on it as soon as I fucking make that thing. So I'm just saying, if I was him, as soon as the little dwarf took it out that goddamn little mold, I would have been chanting and doing my voodoo on it. So that's just me. But I don't know.
Yeah, but to be fair, and again, this is speculation, but it seems like Thor wasn't aware that he had the ability to enchant it, because he's talking to Mjolnir just like he was a buddy, and then you see the enchantment. Whereas Odin knew he was placing the enchantment on Mjolnir about not being able to be lifted. So I think at that time, at least in the MCU, and this is we're talking about the MCU here, guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't think Thor realized he had the ability to enchant it.
Gotcha.
So I'll give you that break on there, but that is true with Stormbreaker. It did possess the same ability to only be lifted by those worthy. That enchantment is placed on it in the comics.
Gotcha.
All right,
Yeah,
sorry.
and like I'm just gonna kind of stick with the Thor the Thor theme here, and go with the Necrosword next, right? From Thor God and Thunder, and this sword from the film, it is the sword that can kill gods, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, and I guess it says it was forged from the first symbiote and its power enhanced after it killed a celestial. So it not only killed gods, it can kill celestials. And gives a little more power than with the more souls it was slain with it. So it's like it feeds off of what it kills. The more it kills, the more power it gains. And it gives the wielder power, strength, regeneration, speed, reflexes, all this stuff.
Yeah, so that for when you say the symbiote god, so the god that basically created the race of symbiotes, which is Venom and Carnage in the Spider-Man universe, he was the one that created the original. Like they
Interesting.
created the Necrosword, and it gained power as it killed more powerful beings, and that's where it was able to kill gods. But it gave the user more power, but it required sacrifices. Basically, like you had to keep killing things, which is why it
The bloodlust.
basically, yeah, the bloodlust of I'm going to kill all the gods.
All gods will die.
Because the sword also, that's, you hear it whispering to him, the sword wanted that more power.
Man,
So,
I don't want to bring it to Destiny, but it's like literally the worm gods, right? The worm from Destiny. Like, I will give you this great power, but you have to kill more and to feed my hunger, right? That's essentially what's going on. It's kind of the same concept.
now I will say, yeah, exactly right. And hopefully some of you enjoy games as much as we do to kind of put that reference together, because what he's saying is spot
So
on.
that was out of left field, yeah, but that's just what it reminded me of.
A little nerdy, but that's what this channel is about, right? Now, through the main list of most powerful, you're going to notice a lot of these are going to involve the Thor, universe, like Thor and all that, because they're gods, and the dwarves have been known in the Marvel universe to create the most powerful weapons in the universe, right? So you're going to hear most of this is going to deal with Thor in some way or another. But yeah, the Necro Sword obviously gave all of the normal powers that you think: speed, strength, regeneration. You know, Thor, obviously, Mjolnir is actually ends up being the weapon that defeats it. Not surprising, but again, that's done a little bit different in the comics. But definitely one of the most powerful swords. There is another one that makes the list here, but one of the most powerful weapons because of what it's able to kill. Again, killing a celestial is not an easy thing. So
No.
And I thought Christian Bale did a great job wielding it. Sorry, even though the movie was
I-
shit, he was great.
Yeah, I didn't mind him as the bad guy in the movie. It was good. It's good.
Is there another one that you feel comfortable with?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of these I've not heard of. So those were the main three that I have heard of. But we can go with the Darkhold as the next one just because it sounds cool as shit. And I'm assuming it's some sort of a book, like because of course, like the hold, like Darkhold just sounds like some evil, like what's the book off of Evil Dead?
Klaatu, Barada, Necktie, Nectar.
It's like, it kind of reminds me of that.
Klaatu, Barata,
Yeah. The
Nectar.
Necronomicon, is that what it's called?
I think it's the Necronomicon. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's the Necronomicon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, that's what it
did you
reminded me.
watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
I did, and albeit it's a long movie, and it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But this is the there's like a temple, right? That he goes to, or he's trying to uh, gosh, see, now I'm piecing different parts of the movie together that I think don't go together.
So, in that, Wanda is trying to get to the
Yes.
Darkhold, right? However, the Darkhold that was originally appeared in March 1972 in the comics. That they for those of you who haven't watched it, I do recommend you go watch Agents of Shield. There are just like any show that runs for 7 seasons, you're gonna have ups and downs, right? There's ebbs and flows. Darkhold actually appears in season 4 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That is the first appearance in the MCU.
Absolutely critical that we safely dispose of the Darkhold. Phil.
Once the Zephyr's ready, Agents Man.
You see the power. Originally created long, like billion years ago, known as the Book of Sins. It's been known over many names. But it was created by an elder god. Initially, it was written down on indestructible parchment, but it was all of the dark magic spells, right?
Is this the book that he finds in the other universe where the other Doctor Strange, it's like falling apart on itself type of thing?
If you're talking about the part, I think you're thinking of the Book of Ashanti.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Yep.
Whereas this book was basically and I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll have it up on the screen here. Yeah, there we go. Sure, we'll say it that. But basically, he creates this other dimension to escape the God Eater. Again, I'm sorry, I'm bad at pronouncing names. I'll have it up there. But he creates this realm to escape that individual there. But it's one of the more powerful items you see because, again, especially if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what it allows people to be able to do, hell, you see what it does in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. It's one of the most powerful books. It is tied to the Book of Ashanti, and that's the one that they're going for at the end of in that show. So definitely a powerful artifact. I hope it's going to get more, and I think because the Agatha and the Darkhold series, I know it's been a little delayed, but I think they're going to explore more into it because there's a lot of lore that, unfortunately, with this list being what it is, we just don't have time to go into it in this video that you guys are going to want to sit through. So let me know down in the comments. I could do a whole nother video on that if you want. But for right now, we're going to move along to what do you got next? What do you want to go through?
Let's do the Ebony Blade.
Ooh.
Yeah, it says the black. It was in the first comic book appearance was the Black Knight, 1955. That's a movie, which I'd never heard of. By the way,
that I believe it's the oldest on the list that I comprised of items as far as comic book appearances. It's the oldest. So,
it's a post credit scene in the Eternals, which I don't even know if I know we watched the Eternals. I don't even know if we did the post credit scene of the Eternals. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember that part. If we did.
So here's the thing: we watched the Eternals for the channel. We never posted that video.
Oh, okay.
we moved out of reactions before we ever posted that video.
That makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah. So we did watch it. However, you are correct. We did not get to the post-credit scene. So, and I know that was the only time you've seen the Eternals, right?
I'd not seen it.
I'd already seen it. So I knew, but yes, you hadn't seen the post-credit scene on the Eternals. Now, this is what I love about the Ebony Blade is you do see it in, like I said, Dane, he played by Jon Snow there, Kit Harington. He is from a long line. I mean, way back, going back when. This goes to and Mantis, you being a Stargate fan, if you remember into season 9, especially
do.
season 10, where they go with Merlin and him being an ancient and all this stuff, but originally crafted by Merlin and Sir Percy. Made from a meteorite, basically. It has the power to cut through almost basically any object. It helps prevent the wielder from death, and it deflects magic, because obviously, Merlin had a hand in there.
Sure.
So you put it in there. Very, very, for me, I feel like the Ebony Blade, and I loved when you got to see it in the Eternals, because he is going to be the Black Knight.
I was going to say, this makes total sense if one of its abilities is to prevent death of its wielder. I mean, the Black Knight that they fight in the Monty Python series totally makes sense now with all his arms cut off and he just doesn't die.
It's
I mean,
a flesh wound.
It totally makes sense now.
Oh, had enough, eh? Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look, it's just a flesh wound.
So, but I wish, they have come out and said that there's not going to be an Eternals 2. Very, very. We did a video on that, about the different things, the Marvel schedule. I was kind of sad about that because I liked Eternals. I get where a lot of people were confused and how it ran. We're not going to go into it, but it's an amazing weapon. Again, it goes back all the way to 1955. Like, you'd have to go back to the future style to get its origins in the comic books. So, been around a long, long time. I was excited to at least see it, even if nothing else happens of it. What do you got next?
We can go with the Gungnir, and I'm assuming this is a sister or brother weapon to Mjolnir. Again, from Thor, issue 275, 1978. Also was shown in Thor, the very first Thor movie, which I don't remember this, and maybe it was just kind of on his Odin's person when in some of the flashbacks of him fighting and whatnot. Am I getting that right?
False. Well, kind of, but not 100%. So you see it, like, that's what. So when Odin is talking and they're introducing Thor, basically is going to go take the mantle, and he's got it there with him. He's holding on to it.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then when he calls the destroyer, basically he taps it on the ground, and the destroyer appears to kill all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You see it there as well.
Okay.
When they go to Jotunheim, and they're getting ready to have the big fight. Like, they're running. Thor kills that big ass monster or whatever, and he lands, and then all of a sudden, Yuffie and all of them are there. When Odin comes down, he's got
it. Okay,
he's got it there, and he blasts them away. Again, similar to it's like, for me, I feel like it is a crossbreed between Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Again, same situation, made by the dwarves on Nidavellir, made of Uru, so it's able to have enchantments and things. It comes back to Odin, so if he throws the spear, it comes back to him, just like all of the other weapons, Stormbreaker and all of that. But it's one of the probably you see, because he actually has it where normally you see Heimdall puts the sword in the Bifrost to activate it. Odin has that because he pulls the spear out, and he pulls the spear out of that. It has the ability to summon the Bifrost as well. That's why when he's sitting there and Heimdall says, if your return threatens the safety of Asgard, the door of the gates will remain closed to you. But Odin pulls all of them out of there, even though they were surrounded, because it actually has the ability to summon the Bifrost as well. So yeah, it was definitely great to see. You see Yuffie, he dies, like when Loki has it, boom, he fires that blast. It has those blast capabilities as well. Basically will cut through anything. Very, very powerful weapon. Again, it's like he says with Stormbreaker, how it can access the Bifrost. He's like, it's a weapon for a king. That weapon was passed down from Bor, Odin's father, down to Odin. So it's existed for a very, very long time.
Interesting. What about the Staff of One?
Interesting choice. Now, I know for a fact I do know for a fact you've not seen Marvel's Runaways, right? Okay, that's the only appearance in the MCU, and we're assuming we're taking liberty with saying that the Marvel's Runaways was in fact in the MCU, but comic book it was 2003 when it showed up, but uh basically the staff came about where you had these two magical entities where again I don't know how to pronounce the name. This is a Japanese name that Tokiko
Minoru.
there you go. I'll let him do all the pronunciations. Basically bested the magical entity known as the One. Was given the choice to either die or become basically her weapon, her sword. The staff gives the wielder a almost limitless abilities to manipulate their environment. Here's the interesting thing, and you see it a bit in Marvel's Runaways. It does not allow you, or it does not like, there's a lot of issues if you try to cast the same spell twice, because it has almost limitless magical abilities for you casting spells. However, if you cast the same spell twice, shit goes off the rails, right? It doesn't respond well to it, so you kind of have to cast a very similar but different spell.
So it's like the genie, where if you wish something, it's like going to be twisted, like it may change something you didn't want it to do.
Exactly, but that's only if you do it the second time. First time around,
Right,
you're golden. It does it just fine. So the longer the staff is around, obviously, with caster, the more of a, okay, this has already been cast. Boom. You
How do they know that? Does it switch? Like, let's say somebody cast this one, but someone else cast it again. Does it remember?
From my understanding, and guys, let me know in the comments if I've got it completely wrong. Again, try to do it respectfully, but that it goes from user to user, right? Of who casts the spell, right? Because it's a older item, so by the time you get to it in the nowadays and the Runaways, everything's been cast on the son of it. There's no charges left on that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But it does give the person, godlike ability to affect their realities, right? Not necessarily, imbues them with crazy amounts of power like strength and speed and flight and all that stuff, but it does give them that. Again, Marvel's Runaways, take it or leave it in the series, but that's the only appearance that I know of. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but in the actual MCU. But it is a very, very powerful artifact in the comics.
Let's switch over to some X-Men stuff here, and you'll have to help me pronounce this. The Crimson Gem of
Cyttorak.
Cyttorak. Okay, Cyttorak. Now, X-Men number 12, May 12, or sorry, X-Men number episode or issue 12 from May 1965.
Now,
another old.
I don't want to get hate for this. I'm going to preface this in the very, very beginning. You technically have not seen the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak in the MCU. However, because if we remember in X3, The Last Stand, the Juggernaut that we saw was an abomination that was not the Juggernaut.
we know your damnation of this character that you love that they've kind of fucked up in that film.
Said it many times. However, in the Deadpool series, which technically isn't in the MCU, but is getting ready to be with Deadpool 3, we just did a video on the second trailer that was released. You see the actual Juggernaut. Now,
oh my God! Juggernaut! I thought that was you! I should have worn my white pants.
Because he even mentions, he's like, oh, I wear this helmet to protect so my brother can't read my mind. Kane Marco is the stepbrother of Charles Xavier.
Okay.
He's the stepbrother. So that's what he's talking about. And the fact that he's that big and he's that strong and all that stuff, he is Juggernaut, which means, even though you haven't seen it, and again, he's also wearing sleeves up until the very end of battle, and I think you see him, but they're not really prominent. It's like a quick glimpse of him. But the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak, when you touch the gem, and there's in the X-Men, the original X-Men cartoon, there's a little tablet that was with it that you basically say the phrase. It gives you the powers of, and it even says the Juggernaut. It gives you the crimson bands of Cyttorak. Those are the bands that the Juggernaut wears on his arms that
Okay.
transforms him
Gives him
into
his
Juggernaut.
power.
So the fact that Juggernaut exists in the Deadpool universe, and you see him, and even mentions about his
It has to
brother
be.
and all this stuff, it has
Yeah.
to be. So that means the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak exists. Now there's a great in the comics or in the cartoon where this like nerdy dude finds the gem and he touches it and he becomes the Juggernaut and he starts destroying his life. But then when finally when Kane Marco gets it and he becomes Juggernaut again, he just chucks it into space so nobody else can find
No
it.
one else can get it. Okay.
So the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak was created over 1,000 years ago. So there was a group of Cyttorak was a very, very powerful sorcerer, like of the Octessence. Again, not exactly sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but basically, these eight super powerful magical beings in a bet in a contest to see who's most powerful. They put some of their power into these totems to see who is the most powerful. And that's where the gem gives you the crimson bands. You become the Juggernaut. It's not been portrayed right in the movies thus far. Again, Deadpool, they've made it look good, but they've not gone into the fact that he's not a mutant.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we've got kind of 2 left on this top 10 list. Again, there's some other notable mentions we can go through at the end. But the next one here is Eye of Agamotto. Agamotto. Is that right?
Yes.
Agamotto. Eye of Agamotto.
So
yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a Doctor Strange type of thing, right? Like in the Doctor Strange universe, the Doctor Strange comic book, old one again, 1964. Which I didn't realize Doctor Strange had comic books that old. I guess it is a pretty old comic character. I mean,
he is, and that's what I love when they bring those in. Now, basically the Eye of Agamotto it was created. It's a talisman created by Agamotto by himself, which was basically a godlike entity known as the Vishanti.
Here we tie back in, yeah.
Right? Which was it's usually carried by the Sorcerer Supreme, hence the one in Doctor Strange,
right?
The original, and because I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not I don't know as much about Doctor Strange as I do a lot of the other characters in both the MCU and the Marvel universe and the DC universe. Is if the Infinity Stone, the Time Stone, is always tied into it, but the Eye of Agamotto is actually a powerful artifact in itself. And I feel like, again, just opinion, let me know how you feel if I'm wrong on it, but I feel like in the movies, it's kind of overshadowed by the Time Stone being in there, right? Being housed in there. Whereas, it
was like an afterthought.
Yeah, whereas the actual eye gives him, so many magical abilities. It allows him to see through basically any magical disguise. A lot of what was going on in Thor Ragnarok, where he was bouncing back and forth, and he kept that's through the eye, right? That's not the Time Stone,
right?
So I think it just kind of gets overshadowed, but it is actually a very, very powerful magical artifact in the MCU.
And telepathy, teleportation, a couple of other abilities. Obviously, it's almost like an augmentation too. I mean, I'm assuming it gives the sorcerer even more power in his incantations that he would cast as well.
Yeah, I mean, it enhances all of that, as well as, again, adds extra things to where they don't have to cast the spell. It does it. It's
right. Just gives you the ability.
Yeah. So
gotcha. Cool. Interesting. So now we're kind of on our last one here, I think, which is the Casket of Ancient Winters. Going back to the Thor.
Now, just seen in Thor 346 in 1984, the casket, and you see it in the original Thor. That's what Loki's grabbing. Well, that's what Thor or Odin takes from Jotunheim in the beginning.
Okay.
That's what Loki's bartering for, saying, "Hey, this can return your planet to its former glory," because it actually has the ability to turn any planet, basically put them in an ice age, right? And obviously, the frost giants that they
Want that.
exist through
Yeah.
that, that. Now there is a Norse, and I was pausing because I'm trying to think how I want to explain. It does exist in Norse mythology, and that's kind of what I love about Thor. Where a lot of these other things were just created for the comics. Most
Right.
everything with Thor exists in Norse mythology, which has existed well before anything in our current day
It's
reality,
like
right?
rewriting.
Yeah, Norse
It's rewriting.
mythology has been there for a long, long time, but I don't know how to pronounce some of the names. So when we say the artifact contains the
Fimbulwinter.
of
Mir.
Ymir,
Mir.
which actually is in Valheim. If you ever play that game, great game.
Oh.
But it can freeze entire landscapes, put the planets in an ice age. It's also a power source for the frost giants, right? Very, very powerful artifact. It does not get seen, does not get used, I think, to its full potential that you see in the comics. But that's okay. It made
You
its
know,
point.
since we've kind of completed the list here, the top 10, it's kind of interesting that I've noticed on a lot of these, or most of them, I say, I don't know how many of them are, but maybe 5 of them are all coming from the Thor universe here. And it got me thinking, like, they have a little dungeon treasure trove of artifacts and shit inside of Asgard, right? Like in I won't say the basement, but their little vault, right? The helm of that ends up doing in Ragnarok, right? That turns that with the eternal flame that summons that demon guy, or not demon, but destroys Ragnarok. Like, they've got some of these artifacts and crazy shit underneath the castle there, right? They're just hoarding a lot of this shit.
Well, so interesting thing about that, and when we talk about notable mentions, the one, because I know a lot of people were probably freaking out that I didn't mention it. I mentioned the Casket of Winters, or Mantis did
Mhm.
there, but we didn't mention the Eternal Flame. The Eternal Flame, by any means, is probably more powerful than all of them
Mhm.
as far as Casket of Winters and things like that. Not everything on the list, but like a lot of the artifacts in there. Eternal Flame is immensely powerful, and you get to see it. And yeah, they use Serta basically because he steals the show with it, right? That's why I didn't
Yeah.
put it in the initial list. It's in the notable mentions because it is a very, very powerful artifact. Also, it's just a fucking flame. It's hard to say it's an
Yeah.
artifact, right? It's a
I know,
flame.
yeah.
All of these other ones are at least objects you can hold. It is a flame, so that's why it wasn't included in the initial list. But the Eternal Flame is a very, very, very powerful object slash artifact that is in the MCU. Yes, which is funny
Interesting.
again, like Manson said, it comes from Thor as well as Thunderbolt.
You can have it anytime you call. Power is everywhere. You just have to harness it. Know your point?
Thunderbolt that we get to see in
Hmm.
Thor: Love and Thunder with Zeus, that
Yeah.
abomination.
I didn't care for this either. We discussed this before, but yeah,
Well,
I agree with
now
you.
if you watch the deleted scenes, there is a great scene with Zeus and I know you know this, but Mantis, but there's a great scene with Zeus and Thor where he explains, and he picks up a stick. He goes, "This could be Thunderbolt." And he throws it. It's the lightning bolt, and it comes back because, like uh, Stormbreaker, Thunderbolt doesn't access the Bifrost. It allows him just to teleport wherever because he teleports to the gates of eternity. Now, Stormbreaker is what actually opens the gates of eternity or gates to eternity. But,
Mhm.
Thunderbolt will allow them to do that as well. They allowed him to teleport to it, right? Thunderbolt is very, very strong. It's Zeus. I
Man.
mean, in Greek mythology, Zeus is the god of gods, right? Even in the DCEU, we see Zeus just like fucking whooping ass way back when with Darkseid. I mean, Zeus doesn't matter. Again, that's what I love about these is when you're talking Greek and Norse mythology, this existed well before comic books, and comic books kind of adapted them into their own. But these individuals were the OG superheroes, right?
Yeah. It's easy writing, like I said before. It's like you have these cool stories that they can adapt to, and like I don't know the like you. I love Norse mythology and Greek mythology. This is why I love the God of War games. I love all of that shit. It's really cool storytelling and things. And with Thor, and I don't know why. Maybe because some of these things, obviously, like Thunderbolt, these are easily adaptable to comic books, and they become powerful items or abilities in those comic book stories. But man, it just seems like they picked a lot of these things out of Thor to be the most powerful things in the MCU. Not necessarily even in just held inside of Asgard, but like in the storyline of Thor and the comic book therein, and it happens to be inside the MCU, just are really powerful stuff.
Well, it's funny. So, in Avengers Infinity War, when Thor meets the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he goes, I need to go to Nidavellir, and they're like, is that a thing? And Rocket knows that. He said they make the most powerful weapons in the universe, right? That's what they're known for, is they make the most power. So when you think about this, right? Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy style. Hell, even with, if we're staying in the Marvel realm, the X-Men are always Earth-based. They don't really go space-based until you get to like Phoenix Saga, and there's a couple others, but you know what I mean, right? As far as what you see in the MCU-ish in this in the movies and such, they rarely go space-based. So, Thor is the one that they go all over the universe. And then again,
advanced alien race, essentially.
Yeah, and again, where they get the weapons from, they even says they put out the the dwarves of Nidavellir put out the most powerful weapons known in the universe. So it's not surprising that when we talk about some of the most powerful artifacts shown in the MCU, Thor and the dwarves are gonna be on that list. Now, there are, and again, if I've missed it, I apologize, but obviously, like, we have the Heart of the Universe, I think is probably what's considered the most powerful artifact in Marvel. And then you have the Ultimate Nullifier. The Ultimate Nullifier, Heart of the Universe, Cosmic Cube, several of those are the most powerful in actually Marvel. We just, again, if I've missed it, I apologize, but I haven't seen the Heart of the Universe actually show up in the MCU. Let me know down in the comments if I missed it. But as far as what's shown in the MCU, and then he mentioned we had on the list as other notables the 10 Rings. Now, when you hear about the 10 Rings in the original Iron Man movie, and then in Iron Man 3, that abomination with that whole thing with how they tried to do the 10 Rings and the Mandarin that was painful, man. But
bad.
The actual 10 Rings itself, and you actually see it in the series about them, Shang-Chi and all that, and the 10 Rings. Another powerful artifact as well. However, we are not going to dive into it because we are running quite long on this video.
Yeah, let me wrap this up, and we can wrap it in a bow here, and let us know in the comments, because I'm going to ask Cal here the exact same question. I'm going to ask you, which is your favorite? Not the most powerful. What's your favorite? And I'm assuming you have a reason why it's your favorite. So one, let us know down in the comments what's your favorite, and Cal, give me your favorite.
Oh, that's not fair to do that because I'm torn, because I want to say the Infinity Gauntlet because of what it's done throughout the comics and how much power it holds. But I also want to say the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak because I love Juggernaut.
That's good enough
he's
reason.
Amazing, right? So I'm going to go with the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak. because Juggernaut is like he's one of my favorites of all comics. Period. Especially when we're talking Marvel, because obviously I'm a more of a DC fan.
Sure.
Clearly I'm more DC, but when we talk Marvel. I'm rocking Captain America, right? I love Marvel too, but when I think about especially baddies, because I love the DC baddies, right? Baddie on the actual fucking Marvel side
MCU side.
is
Yeah.
Juggernaut. So I'm gonna go with the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak.
Cool. Yeah. So, you guys in the comments, let us know what your favorite is. It doesn't even have to be on this list that we have that we brought up here, and I'm sure Cal can put the list on the screen at some. He's going to have it on the screen at some point during the video. If you want to pause it and look at what we had. But if there's something we didn't put on this list, let us know. And/or what's your favorite? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. Now, again, I said in the very beginning, this is going to be the wrap up here. I said in the beginning, I know this has the potential to cause a lot of argument and things of what people think are the most powerful. Again, we weren't putting them in any order, as well as things that were missed. These are from what I have seen. If I have missed something, please let me know. We definitely want to know, and we'll get it out there, and we can do another video that will also include, hey, yeah, we forgot X, Y, and Z. Let us know, what we could have missed. Also, if you don't think we missed anything, what is yours? What do you put as your favorite item on this list? Or what has not been shown that you want to see in the MCU? Like maybe the heart of the universe. We don't know.
Could be.
Okay, it's not the heart of the ocean. Okay, so we're not doing Titanic. Okay, it's heart of the universe. Different. We took it up a couple of notches. So
Always want Jack. Fucking sorry.
How are you gonna say I never let go and then immediately tossing down to the bottom of the bitch?
Yeah.
But we're going off the tangent here. If you have made it with us this far, guys, I apologize. I was expecting this to be longer just because of what we had to talk about. Definitely consider giving this video a like. He is going to show you where. Awkward, but okay. I can't move it. Whatever. But stop it. Consider giving the video a like. Subscribing to the channel for more of this type of content, as well as we do have a lot of other videos that I feel like get missed because that they aren't the hot button topics, but they are a lot of where we explore this type of information if you are interested in this. And then click the bell notifications to get more of our MCU and DCU videos, as well as we just did some Deadpool and some Joker videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
some Fallout stuff too.
And Fallout. And Mantis does have a new gaming channel, Mantis Toboggan Gaming, where he is currently playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yes, come check it out. Live stream on Twitch as well as YouTube. And we have the video on demand as well if you did not catch the stream or want to wade through the live stream.
What did you call it last video?
The VOD.
The VOD?
VOD, yeah. It's a VOD. Like bod with V, VOD.
Never say that again. If you want the video on demand. Until then, guys, we will catch you on the next one.
Later.